All right, everybody, welcome back to the Real Greg Kelly Show. I'm your host, Greg Kelly. We go have a ball tonight. And y'all know it. That's just how we do it out here in the 757. I tell you, man, I hope y'all catch that first video I did because it was a doozy. And we have to find out what's really going on. I got some friends joining me tonight. So y'all can't wait to see this one. But anyway, are we still American? America. Do we still have the fight in us? We got some leadership out here that I tell you, boy, they looking flaky. Super duper flaky. And it's going to cost Americans their American freedom in due time. You watch and see. Wow. Just want to give a shout out to Brooke for Bama. I see your sister in the building. And one of my favorite people, Nana 1776. How you doing, sis? Good to have you with us. Hey, look, we're going to make a little bit of noise tonight. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. We're going to make a little bit of noise tonight. Again, this is Surrounded by Blue Part 2. Part 2 of, I would like to call it, just a deep dive into some of the underlying issues that are not being talked about in mainstream media concerning the Ukraine invasion, concerning the lack of action that NATO forces and American forces and leadership, their lack of smart, strategic actions that they could take that they're not taking. I want to know why. Gonna have a real good show for you tonight. The show's so long and it's so big, I had to keep a piece of paper so I can read off this stuff. But tonight, we are going to look at why Joe Biden has not taken decisive action. We're going to find out what the former DOD chief of staff has to say. His name is Kash Patel, about the leak of information from China to Russia. Joe Biden trying to get the Chinese to somehow just join forces with him. I have no idea why this guy thinks that Xi Jinping is his buddy. Might have something to do with Hunter Biden. We're going to get into that too. And we're going to have two, maybe three former veterans, well, still veterans, joining me tonight. We're going to look at the cost of conventional war, and we're going to be getting the insight of a few former generals. I believe the Pakistani general and one of the generals of old from India. We want to find out what's going on in the NATO summit when Donald Trump was in office in 2018. And we're going to look at why America is trying to kill America and empower Russia while claiming it is declaring war against Russia. It is confusing to me. I have no idea. Hopefully some of you people are smarter than I am and you can enlighten me. Hopefully you can enlighten me. If you will, before I get started, would somebody let me know how this audio sounds? Like I'm getting some weird feedback in the background, but we are going to dive deep. If anybody can hear anything that's distorted in the background, please just let me know. Once again, you are with the Real Greg Kelly, and this is the Real Greg Kelly Show. And y'all know I will be right back after these few messages. Message number one. The conservative Bear is with me tonight. I know you guys want to see what Bear has to say. It's always fun to have Bear in the house. It's always fun to have my brother Thomas Kerr, former Special Forces, in the Army. Again, you're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. I'll be right back with you after this message. If you have not liked the channel or subscribed to the channel, please like the channel and please subscribe to the channel and please share these videos. We just want to try to keep Americans informed and keep us in the right frame of mind so we can get the right perspective. I'm going to bring up first my brother Thomas Kerr, who is, I'm not going to tell you where he is. That's called doxing. Y'all thought I was going to tell you something, did you? I ain't going to do it. Welcome to the show, Thomas.
Glad to be here.
All right, and we're going to bring up the TCB. You know I can't just bring him up any kind of way, and he's sitting back here with this flippant, spinning logo that he likes to brag about, giving me a hard time. I don't know. And see, if I bring him up and he still got the spinning logo, then he's going to be mad, like, hey, you didn't tell me you were bringing me up. But anyway, y'all guys, welcome to the show, The Conservative Bear. I'm going to roll that intro.
Roll that intro.
Oh, God, here we go. The Undertaker is here. I have no idea.
I had to do it to you, bro. I told you I was going to do it.
You did. You did. And you did it. So I respect it. I can't say nothing. I can't say a doggone thing. But welcome to the show, man.
How you doing today, man?
I'm blessed, brother. I'm confused as hell, but I'm blessed. I really am, man. I am really confused. And so just for the backdrop, I mean, you see the backdrop, and I talked with Thomas about this earlier. There's a lot of blue states here, right? And then there's this one big red one here. And that would concern me as a leader. But again, if you do a little bit of history on NATO, it used to be the opposite. It used to be the Soviet Union under Stalin just tyrannically expanding the territory of Russia. And we know they fail. But hey, Nick, I see you, girl. But the tides have turned. And I just want to get you guys' perspective on what this looks like here in America. And does any of this sound or look familiar? So we're going to get right into our first clip, which I wanted it to be one thing, and I had to change it. But we're going to do our first clip here about a little history on NATO and what it exists for. Why was it created? And where did it make a turn? Somewhere it appears that NATO made a wrong turn in its objectives. And I want to get your information. I want to get your ideas and perspective on this. So just give me a second here. We're going to go clip one. Start now.
The end of the Nazi rule had also paved way for the Soviet expansion in Eastern Europe. The Soviet Union was emerging as a superpower. This had Western Europe and the US worried. Tensions were high and political instability was gripping Europe, with Germany at the core of it. Despite their differences, the UK, the US, France, and the Soviet Union came together in 1947 to decide on Germany's future. But there was little success. The Western powers had to organize themselves to defend against Joseph Stalin's expansionist ambitions and the Soviet military power.
Okay. All right. Just off of that statement alone, that one statement right there, that the Western powers had to defend against NATO, and what they felt like, not NATO, they felt like they needed to get in the way of Joseph Stalin and his expansion, into Europe, into Western Europe, which is what I think was happening. At least this is what is being said here, is that NATO was created to combat the Soviet Union.
So that alone right there, dude, and Putin knows this. Putin knows that the entire reason why NATO exists is to be knocking on his front door. And that would be like, all of a sudden you start seeing your neighbors they're buying land next to you and getting closer to you, and you can't stand each other. It's going to piss you off.
Yeah, that's why I was in the same place. Like, I think that's making him a little uncomfortable because he's been talking about it for a very long time. Again, it doesn't mean to me, that doesn't mean or justify that, you know, the actions that he's taking in Ukraine are justifiable. But I mean, just off this little snippet, and we're gonna go on. This coalition, this alliance was formed to combat Russia's growth, according to, you know, this clip that we're watching here. Thomas, how does that make you feel to see that, or is it just, you know?
Well, I mean, I'm aware of it. I mean, people kind of forget that. See, Russia showed their colors right after World War II when they divided Germany between, you know, Russia. They gave Russia part of Germany. What's the first thing they did? They turned it into a gulag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nobody wanted to be in East Germany at that time before the wall fell. And let me just say something. The Soviet Union still would be the Soviet Union if it weren't for Gorbachev. He was the one who actually wanted to have, you know, like a democratic society there, and they had it going in that direction. But Putin is an old KGB guy, and KGB lived by wanting to control everybody and everything. And so he's getting nervous because he's trying to become a superpower. And the more NATO gets there, the less chance he has to go into more countries like he would be. And all he has to do now, because of the weak leadership in the U.S., is talk that nuclear stuff, and all of a sudden everybody's upset.
I agree.
Switch.
Okay, so what we have going on here is I'm hearing myself and somebody's on speakerphone. Maybe. Hey Thomas, do you have earpieces?
Yeah.
If you use those, that'll combat the feedback or the playback that I hear, because as I speak and it comes to your phone, I'm hearing it back over here. But let's continue with this, because that's very interesting. It seems like Russia knows steel curtain. They're going to bring the hammer down. That's what they do. It's what they've always been known to do. Let's continue on in this here.
A year later, Bevan's persistence led to the formation of the Brussels Treaty, signed by Belgium, France, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and the UK. The treaty aimed to show cooperation among Western European countries and encouraged the US to join the alliance. On April 4, 1949, the US did join. The North Atlantic Treaty was signed in Washington, D.C. by 12 countries. In 1952, more countries joined NATO, Turkey and Greece. Then 3 years later, West Germany followed. This was the last straw for the Soviet Union, and it responded by forming its own alliance. This was the Warsaw Pact. And just like NATO, the Warsaw Pact was a treaty of collective defense among the Soviet Union and its communist partners in Eastern Europe. Then came the nuclear arms race. Over the next 10 years, nuclear weapons were heavily developed and tested. The UK, France, and the US were testing and experimenting in different parts of the world. In 1961, the Soviets detonated the world's most powerful nuclear weapon, Tsar Bomba, estimated to be at least a 50 megaton atmospheric blast. The range of this bomb was massive, and just to put it into context, it was 3,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
Okay. Now the perspective is getting much more clearer as I have no idea why my shift button isn't working, because I should just be able to do this. And it's not working, and I don't like it. But anyway, so these two entities, these two powerful entities have been jockeying for position for a very long time. This is evident. And we know what happened to the Soviet Union. We're going to get there. The nuclear arms race in the 1950s is, this is, pre-Cold War. This thing starts to explode, this nuclear arms race. And here's NATO wanting to expand and gain power. And here's Russia on the brink of collapse. And they don't even know it. But they've been at each other's back door and front door for a very long time. And, the way that it's being spent in the media now is that not only is this something that just exists between Ukraine and Russia, but I think the bigger issue is NATO. And we're gonna talk about that. We're going to get into that. NATO forces have expanded even after they agreed not to toward Russian borders. That's important. But again, nuclear war, the threat of nuclear war is going to be, it's already been issued, and Putin is, probably, like Kerr said, he's probably real nervous at this point. But I'm just so, as we get into this, I'm just so confused about the end game for either side.
Well, you can look at the difference between Warsaw and NATO and see one thing. One thing NATO's never done has invaded a country. NATO has never invaded a country like Russia has invaded countries, like they went into Crimea, like they go into other places like that. That's what they do. They tried to go into Afghanistan in 1979.
They got their ass handed to them too.
That's right. But see, the misconcept is that everybody, the news was saying that they were being turned away by the Mujahideen, and that was not true. There were American special forces fighting in Afghanistan from 1985 to 1987, and that's why the Russians could not take Afghanistan. They were training the Mujahideen how to fight. They were giving them weapons and everything. But see, the Mujahideen tried terrorist attacks against the Russians, and they weren't having any parts of it. They would take the terrorists, dice them up in pieces, and send them back. So that scared the terrorists. But the Americans were using guerrilla warfare tactics, just like the people in the Ukraine have been told to do, and they are doing. Guerrilla warfare tactics can fight a larger military.
But see, what happened in Afghanistan, though, is, yeah, we did join in that war with them secretly, but that's also how Osama bin Laden got a lot of the weapons that they used to fight us back to anyway. So that they ended up turning their backs on us too.
Everybody we've ever helped has always turned back on us. I mean, with the exception of the UK and Israel, everybody has turned back on us. I include France when I say that, because Canada, France, all of them. We'll take this for example. Look at Canada right now. I mean, back in Vietnam, they let the draft dodgers go there in Canada. They wouldn't extradite anybody. Now they want to extradite people from the United States who were in league with the Freedom Convoy there. See, all these countries, want to play a game, but then they all turn around to totalitarian force.
Well, that brings me to the question, and I want to get your perspective on this too, Bear. I mean, all these things are happening in the name of democracy. I mean, even France, they turned their back. The Afghanistan people. And again, we're supposedly going there to help them build a better life for themselves, and it just doesn't seem to be working. Well, what do you see?
I think that when it comes to democracy, man, there's some countries that have been so in depth with communism, are so into their ways, their history, like the Middle Eastern countries. They're so stuck in Islam that, dude, you can't go force our beliefs on another country if they don't want it. They've been so indebted into whatever they're into so far, man. That's why they always turn their back on us anyway, because they don't want a democracy. Yes, maybe the little civilians do, but everybody else, that the big people, they don't want it. That's why we end up losing thousands and millions of American soldiers to wars that we shouldn't be involved in the first place.
Well, I think some of these big guys, they want the free market share. They want some of the revenue that comes. But as far as their political ideology, I don't think it ever changes. I mean, we'll just look at Canada right now, as Thomas was saying. I mean, what you're seeing going on in Canada right now, they also are a part of NATO, and they're exercising authoritarian government right now. And they're supposed to be a part of a Democratic Party.
They're not authoritarian. They've always been, though.
Well, part of the
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Part of the problem.
No, go ahead, Thomas.
Look, only in the United States have they ever. George Washington set the example when he stepped down. He had the opportunity to serve as a president indefinitely. He chose to step down. When he stepped down, and we first had peaceful transfer of power, we set the model for that. That does not happen in other countries. You know, a
Right.
lot of other countries, they have people in charge want to be dictators. And here now, the United States is coming full circle because we've had an administration that has come in recently, and they are trying every method to seize power. So, and let me make another thing clear too. Democracy means the majority rules. That's not a good thing.
No,
Uh,
I agree.
a constitutional republic is the way that America should be, not a democracy. Because in a democracy, if the majority of people decide they want to be communists, and that's what you are, that's not a constitution. The Constitution sets the framework for saying you can do this, you can't do that. And that's why the Constitution is so under attack.
Exactly, dude. And honestly, dude, back in 1942, we almost ended up in a kind of we almost fell back into being a king, because remember, before that, FDR had already been president. What was it, 4 terms, 16, almost 16, 12 years, I think it was. And
12, yeah.
before we got to that, before he could have kept running if he wouldn't have died, and he would have been president for 20 years if he would have survived it all. So if he wouldn't have been so sick. So we almost fell back into it.
Yeah. It's just confusing, but to me, which is why I have you guys up here to explain to the family that there's some things happening behind the scenes, and I don't want to take away from the clip here. So let's get back to the clip. We'll finish this and move on to the next segment. But just remember, NATO was definitely formulated to stop a communist power from taking over the globe. And now it looks like, to me, they're trying to do the same thing, or protect again against Russia, who doesn't appear to be that powerful of a nation.
Both NATO and the Soviet Union were in possession of the world's deadliest nuclear weapons. The revolutions of 1989 in Poland, Hungary, East Germany, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, and Romania gained momentum. Following weeks of civil unrest, the East German government gave in. On November 9, 1989, citizens of East Germany were allowed to visit West Germany, and in the joy of reunification, crowds climbed over the Berlin Wall and started to bring it down. With countries declaring independence from the Soviet Union, the Warsaw Pact started to disintegrate, and on December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, was there really a need for NATO? After all, Hastings Lionel Ismay, the first Secretary General of NATO, had once said the purpose of NATO was to keep the Soviet Union out, the Americans in, and the Germans down.
Okay. Now, that is one hell of a statement. And it was a good question. After the fall of the Soviet Union, was there really any need for NATO to continue to exist and expand? That's a good question. I have an answer.
I need to bring up a very important point at this point. Okay, let's make one thing clear. As when Donald Trump was the president, he proved that no country was too great for the United States. The problem with Russia hasn't been that they've grown. The problem has been is that we have a man with no testicles sitting in the seat of the president, and he has filled the Pentagon full of ballless generals, and that's the reason that the Soviet Union seems so strong. Donald Trump put the Chinese back on their heel, gained back trillions of dollars that we've been losing. So it has nothing to do with any of these countries or what they perceive as power. It has to do with a vacuum of power that was created here when that farce of an election in 2020 that took place, that attack on the constitutional republic, that's what's created this chaos. It had nothing to do with Russia or NATO. NATO's always been a feckless place, just like the UN. They're both powerless. They do nothing but bash the United States. And the problem is, when you get a vacuum in the United States, you open the door for all of these things to happen.
I also want to clear something up on history. It wasn't Gorbachev that caused the fall of the Soviet Union. It was Rocky Balboa.
And shut up. But listen, I agree with you, Thomas. I mean, you got a bunch of leeches riding on the coattails of American power, and just kind of sucking our taxpayer dollars out of our economy and into these other nations. And then Donald Trump actually, made that known. It was like, hey, listen, you guys got to step up to the plate and pay for your own defense. And we'll get into that later. But I agree. What we're seeing is, a man with no backbone. I mean, he's Sleepy Joe, Creepy Joe. This guy has been nothing more than a fraud. He is incompetent. Kamala Harris, right along with him. That whole administration has been nothing but a disaster from day one, cutting off our oil drilling capabilities. I mean, they have created a nightmare.
Well,
on the globe.
Well, check this out, man. The whole way that Russia gets their money is from oil, and we are continuing to purchase oil from Russia. So what the frick is the point of us even putting sanctions on this country when he's just like, all right, well, keep paying me that dollar, keep paying me that money, because we're paying over almost $100 per gallon of oil over to Russia because we need their oil, when this dumbass idiot that sits behind the sacred desk in the Oval Office, the resolute desk in the Oval Office, even won't even give no more leases to drill anymore. He stopped all of that to protect the environment. Motherfucker, what kind of environment what environment are we gonna have left when we fall?
Inquiring minds want to know. Again, this is the height of my confusion. I have no idea what the hell they're doing. What you got?
Well, I can tell you this. Look, man, I can tell you about Putin. It doesn't take much to analyze them. Old KGB, they've got one-track minds. Control, keep people at bay. Look, in Russia right now, the fact that all these people are protesting is like a huge movement. I mean, in other countries like China and Russia, when people protest, they kill them. Canada, and I'm glad to see this freedom convoy in the United States heading towards Washington, D.C. for our State of the
Union.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we can call it a union right now. It's a state of what these screwed up liberals are trying to do to this country and try to hand it over. I mean, to me, it makes me ill to think about it. When I go back and think about all the people who have lost their lives, who've given their life for this country, they did not give their life for this country, be handed over to these people for nothing. They gave it all because they believed in our flag, they believed in our Constitution, and every soldier, when they take their oath, they take an oath to, number one, protect the Constitution of the United States. And as many people have made it clear, that oath never expires. So as a soldier, it is your duty to protect that Constitution.
Exactly.
Oh, don't forget the most important part of that: from all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Even if that person sits in the Oval Office.
Yeah, let's go, Brandon. I agree. Let's continue on, man. I agree.
Critics questioned their involvement and success while NATO was trying to justify the reason for its existence. The early 2000s were a chance for NATO to expand beyond its borders. In 2001, specifically after 9/11, NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time, the same article that considers an attack on an ally as an attack on all members. It launched its biggest ever combat operation in Afghanistan with the aim to stabilize the region, train Afghan forces, and make sure the war-torn country won't be a safe haven for terrorists ever again. It has been 17 years since the war in Afghanistan started, and the US and NATO are still there.
Let me ask you a question, dude. How did that work out? I'm being 100% serious. Okay, so the whole point of we went to war with NATO. When NATO went with us in Afghanistan and Iraq, and we fought to liberate Afghanistan. How did that work out? Can somebody say who got the dub in the end? Who came back in the fourth quarter and did a 2-minute drill and scored a touchdown and won the game?
Can I make a point here where a mistake, in my opinion, is always made, has been made from the United States, even since the Vietnam War moving forward. The problem with it is America is a mighty military. The problem we suffer from is when we go to war, we don't fight a war. See, the thing about it is, think back to World War II. If we use the same tactics in World War II as we use since then, what war would have been won? This world would be under communist or Nazi rule, whatever you want to say. When you go into fight a war, I don't agree with Trump on everything. Iraq. One of the things that people keep out of the thing is when our special forces first went into Iraq, you know what they found? They found mock-ups of the plane. Saddam Hussein did not help the terrorists in Afghanistan to attack the United States. What he did allow is for them to train the people to do the attacks right there in his country. He knew about it. Let me give you a hypothetical, if I may. Say I'm in the United States. I have 10,000 acres of land. But I don't look over all those acres myself. I have people that are caretakers. One of my caretakers comes to me and tells me that somebody has built a mock-up of Wachovia Bank. And there are people going in there in hoods and guns and everything and shooting and coming out. And they tell me to do that. I said, well, that's not our problem. A bank gets robbed, people get killed, and then the information comes out that they were training on my land and I knew about it. How would I not end up in prison? That is one of the reasons we went in to Iraq, not to mention the fact, and people want to say this didn't happen. There were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and as they kept playing this shell game with it, they were moving those from Iraq to Syria, which were later used by the president of Syria to kill hundreds of thousands of Syrians. I mean, people, it upsets me when I see people say, "Oh, we were doing this, or we're just being a bully, or this or that." Let me tell you something. One of the things, the only reason this world has not been blown up has been because of the United States. China, Russia, everybody knows if they launch a nuclear attack, we will too. There will be no need for them to do it. There will be nothing left. And that's what Putin is banking on, everybody's mindset. But when he threatens nuke, oh, we don't want a nuclear war. It's true, we don't want one. But you can't let a person do their bidding because they threaten nukes. He's a little kid rattling a sword. And in my personal opinion, I think from now on, the future, we never have to go to war. When we have a conflict with people like that, you cut the head off the snake. You don't go after the troops, after the underlings. You go cut the head of the snake off. Kill the leader, you'll kill the problem.
Or you kill him, and now we have a bigger problem because the douchebag under him is even worse than that one.
But see, we can sit there and knock them off. Think about all the innocent people who get hurt when we go at a full-scale war. Instead of surgical strikes, it's like when, one thing I have to say about Donald Trump, I mean, he took out Soleimani. I mean, you want to talk about a precision strike?
That's true.
That's what the United States need to do. When these people are responsible, you don't sit there, just like they took out al-Baghdadi. It's the exact same thing. Instead of doing all these major scores, putting boots on the ground, take the tip of the sword. They're very good at doing surgical work. Let them do the work and let them do this stuff, and then that'll cause a lot less loss of life, a lot less loss of money, and we can shut these organizations up without having to draw a lot of public attention.
Yeah,
So
that would make a lot of sense if you didn't have a weak person sitting in the Oval Office.
But see, we can't do that. Trump is the man to lead a surgical strike to put all the moving parts in. But I mean, these clowns we have in power, these Democrats, Pelosi, I mean, these people are pathetic.
That's because they're warmongers. They make millions and millions of dollars off of war. That's why they were pissed off at President Trump, because President Trump didn't want war. He was trying to draw us out of wars and start bringing the money back into the United States. That's one of the reasons why they wanted back into another war. That's why we have the issue we have now, and that's why they kept funneling money into Ukraine to piss off Putin. It's to get us into another war. So now the whole COVID thing is, so they're not making money no more off Pfizer. So now they got to make more money off of another war. See, think about how much money. I bet you if you looked at any of these people's portfolios, I bet you any money they're in bed with Colt, who makes the M16 M or an M4 A2. They're probably in bed with a bunch of these weapons manufacturers, and you're not making money if there's no war. And that's the problem that we have with World War II. All these companies made millions and billions of dollars for us fighting a war. So when World War II ended, they needed to make more money, so we got into Korea. Then that ended. They wanted more money, so we ended up in fucking Vietnam.
Well, see, again, but the problem with it is I don't like wars, and I don't think any soldier likes wars. But herein lies the problem. And Trump said it. He said it when he was campaigning to get. He said, "I don't want to just jump and go to every war, but if I'm going to go to war, I want to go fight the war." Our problem in Vietnam, the biggest mistake was they would never bomb North of Hanoi. They wouldn't bomb where all the VC that were doing this, who were backed by the Chinese, by the way. We don't.
I'm glad somebody hold it. Let me stop it right there. I'm glad you mentioned that, because there was a lot of people dying in Vietnam, and it kind of exceeded their population. So yeah, they were definitely getting help from some people that might have resembled them a little bit.
Right, and I mean that's the same thing. Korea was getting help from China. North Korea was getting help from China. I mean, see, the thing is, and this is the same thing that was happening in Iraq and Afghanistan. These people in the daylight will sit there and shake your hand. At night, they're trying to kill you. We need to stop putting multitudes of our people at risk in these areas. We need to start letting the tier 1 units go in there and do their surgical cutting. And that way, I mean, look at, when have you heard about Delta Force the last time? Ever since they took out al-Baghdadi, you haven't heard about them. Delta Force is one of our very strongest and most quiet organizations. They can move around without being hardly ever detected. I mean, we and see, that's a problem with having a president like Biden. They will not use our assets to try to protect Americans. And let's just be honest. I mean, I'm starting to think that what we need to do, instead of going to help everybody else, we just need to protect our borders. Trump was right. America first.
Yeah, I mean, that's the movement, that's the storyline, and we're almost out of this clip right here. So let's get right back into this. NATO. I mean, somebody asked the question here: where was NATO after declaring Article 5? Here we go, Joker. Question to the NATO trending to Article 5: an attack on one is considered an attack on all. Where was NATO when we were fighting Iraq? They were in Iraq with us. To answer the question, NATO forces were also.
I can actually say that because I fought alongside some Israeli and English soldiers.
Yes, they were definitely there as well. So let's finish this clip here.
So are the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. It also had many missions in Africa, South Asia, and the Mediterranean Sea. But things started to change in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea. Some say Russia was provoked by NATO, while others say it was pure Russian aggression. This was a wake-up call for NATO, and it started to take extra measures in the Baltics. So, is NATO still around because the Soviets might come back? Or is it trying to protect its members from aggressive nationalism?
That is a very, very good question. That's a very good question. And this is exactly what, this is what I want to know the answer to that too, because there's actually another question. Is NATO around because they're waiting for Russia, or they expected Russia to rise to power again? Or is NATO pulling its own Soviet Union style expansion campaign? And I just want to know, because I'm looking at it and I'm flabbergasted. And for
I'll say it again, NATO is useless. They're a useless organization, just like the UN. Both of them were put together for good reasons, but neither one of them accomplished anything. If the USA doesn't stick their nose in it, NATO has no power.
Oh, absolutely.
They're
I mean,
bankrupt.
when you look at the budget, I mean, up until Donald Trump came into office, of course, these things have changed since Biden has been in office. We funded 80% of their defense, and
That's
over
right.
75% of their military strength comes from American military resources. And again, if America doesn't back NATO, you're right, they're nothing.
They're
That's
bankrupt.
right.
They can't do anything. Hence, again, when we put that in perspective, it's the United States that's defending NATO, and NATO wants to fight Russia. But NATO also, this is what's so confusing. NATO is trying to expand, its reach into Russia. But why? Is it because of oil and gas? Because that's all Russia has. I mean, that's what they do. They have very few, natural resources. They pretty much monopolize the oil industry right now in the world. And again, it's so confusing that we opened up the door for them to be financially empowered by that oil and gas. And
But
NATO
can I
says,
ask you a
okay, we're over here now. I don't
Is,
understand.
isn't Russia in NATO right now?
No,
They're part of the UN.
they're part of the UN. Yeah.
Okay, so
They're actually the president of the UN.
Well, my understanding is that if somebody's in NATO, they can't be attacked by NATO. That's my understanding. That's part of the reason why Russia does not want Ukraine to be in NATO. But if I'm understanding correctly, Russia is trying to get in all these organizations. And let me just say another thing too. One thing that upsets me greatly: when is the last time an American has headed up the UN? Yeah, and here's the thing: who funds the UN more than anybody? America.
Hey, we
Whenever
seem
the
to have our
UN
dollars every damn where. Our dollars is in everybody's bank.
That's
But our
right.
dollars somehow, losing value.
That's one reason Trump was so important. He said, and I agree with him 100%. As Americans, we can't be the policeman of the world. Put America first. If all we concerned ourselves with was America, imagine how powerful a country America would be. We're not spending billions of dollars out here. Trump got us all self-sufficient, fuel efficient, and all this kind of stuff. And so, as soon as the other party comes in, what do? They take all our finances away.
January 20th, 2021, Joe Biden made us energy dependent again.
Right.
Wiped everything off the table.
Yeah, I think we can conclude that this is by design. And see what I'm trying to create here is the pathway that leads to the information that points to the truth of what's really going on. Because none of the stuff that I'm seeing and I'm hearing on mainstream media is making any damn sense. It's not making sense. And I understand NATO's trash. I understand this guy Putin he's a lunatic. Okay,
if you even want to go a step higher and you really want to get the real answers, start looking into the Illuminati. Then you can really get a sense of what's really going on.
Boy, that is a deep rabbit hole to go jumping down. And then for those of you who just jumped in here, this is Real Greg Keller Show. I got Thomas Kerr with me, Army veteran, along with the Conservative Bear, another Army veteran. We thank you for your service. We're going to transition to segment 2. And but before we do, I just want you to think about this just for a hot second, everybody, the American people. Our financial future is at risk because Joe Biden has pretty much made us, as Bear said, energy dependent. Again, after Donald Trump liberated us from dependence on other foreign nations for their oil, which by default empowers other nations. And why in the hell would we want to empower Russia? All right, that is the question of the hour. The next segment we're gonna look into why NATO, after it did invade other countries that were not NATO countries, but that's part of their agreement that they won't invade a non-NATO country, even though we know they will. Why won't they invade Russia? We're going to get the perspective of some very interesting people. And everybody on the panel, I just want you to, just focus on what we're going to hear here and give me your feedback on it, because I'm a novice here when it comes to this type of foreign relations, this type of stuff that's going on, even though, I've done some damage out there myself. And, but the point is here, I don't understand why they're not attacking Russia if the attitude is we have to stop Putin. Why aren't we taking measures to actually stop him? Here we go.
Tens of thousands of troops of the United States and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization have been positioned along Ukraine's western borders for months. They have the most sophisticated war machinery in the world. Their leaders have issued thundering threats to Russian President Vladimir Putin, and yet Russia has unleashed air power, tanks, thousands of troops, and has invaded Ukraine. Ukrainian civilians, reservists, and troops are fighting a valiant but unequal battle. More than 100 people, including children, have been killed. So where is NATO? Why isn't it fighting back? Lieutenant General Atta Hasnain and Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan of the Indian Army have decades of experience dealing with cross-border insurgencies and full-fledged wars. In an exclusive conversation with Times Online, the generals provide the answers. Russia has invaded Ukraine. More than 100 persons, including children, are dead, more than 1,000 injured. The small Ukrainian army is fighting the Russian juggernaut. Thousands of US and NATO troops are present on Ukraine's western borders, and yet NATO says they can't enter Ukraine. What else can it do against Russia?
Okay, everybody, I want to welcome to the show the one and only, the great Gator. We love you, brother. Thanks for stopping by. As soon as I found out how to bring you up here, there you go. What's up, brother?
The
What's up,
Gator
man?
one.
Gator actual.
Yeah, man. Thanks for stopping by. We always love to have you here. I want to introduce you to Thomas Kerr up in my hold on. Yeah, he's over here. Very good friend of mine.
I haven't even done this in months, and I nailed it right out of the gate. He's right there.
Yeah.
That way. That way.
Yeah, how you been, man? You been okay?
Yeah, sorry I'm running late. Bear hit me up the last minute, but I'm just out there setting up my tent, getting it, weatherproofed and everything, and get ready for the season, man. The weather.
Yeah.
Weather's
Some
not.
people,
Weather's
some
not.
people love you.
Huh? Hey, there. I just clicked on comments. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Brooke, how you doing? Good job in the national championship. You suck. Still go Gator,
Yeah.
but congratulations to the dogs.
To the dogs.
Nana, great to see you. Taylor, how's it going? Kevin, Kevin, is that your name, Kevin?
Thomas.
There.
That's what I said. Thomas, how you doing, brother?
I'm also near I live near where the National College football champs are.
What'd he say?
He said he's out here in Georgia.
Gotcha. Yeah, all right, there you go. Yeah, I'm not in Georgia. I'm a little bit north of that, but I'm a Gator fan, so I had to publicly say congratulations to the to the team from Georgia. You know what? St. Johns River flows north, right?
Yeah.
Georgia sucks.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. Listen, we're just jumping right into here trying to find out. We're just looking at a clip here about why NATO won't engage. I'm not going to replay that clip. I'm just going to go right to the second one. So this is going to be interesting. I'd love to get your feedback. We welcome Gator to the show, the Real Greg Kelly Show. Let's get into this next clip right here. Y'all know I'm all over the place. Let's see what's going on. Two generals, one from Pakistan and one from India. Some experts in, I think it's bordering nations and their combat strategies. This is going to be interesting. And I want everybody in the chat, look, put your opinion out there. You'll get an opportunity to come and call on the show if you want to. If you have anything to say, you're always welcome here. So let me get back to this. This is clip 2. Well, yeah, it'd be clip 3, actually.
But NATO will do none of that. It says it cannot enter Ukraine because it's a non-NATO country. That rings hollow. It didn't think twice about going into Iraq and Afghanistan, also non-NATO countries. So why the hesitation over Ukraine?
No one wants to get involved in it because they know what is going to happen at the hustings otherwise tomorrow. How are they going to manage their own electoral scenarios? All these are democracies. after also what is going to ultimately happen in their electoral scenarios. Secondly, everyone has realized that conventional war is a very, very expensive thing. See what's happened in Afghanistan. I mean, the estimates range from $1 to $3 trillion. The Americans lost 2,400 soldiers in a matter of 20 years, right? They lost 3,800 military contractors. More military contractors died than the number of soldiers of the United States. So it is a question of attempting to outsource war. Conventional operations is being looked at as outsourcing more than anything else. So no one has this kind of stomach today to fight conventional wars. That is what Putin has taken advantage.
Okay. Now, from the standpoint of economic power, let's not miss this opportunity to talk about the effects financially that the COVID restrictions have had on nations that want to engage into military action. And this brother asked a very good question. Like, nobody really wants to get into this because how will it affect the elections, the politics of these nations of NATO that are democracies, and their PR if they invade and just obliterate the Russian people. And it's kind of like Russia is invading Ukraine, and I'm sure Vladimir Putin's PR is really bad, as seen in his own country with massive protests breaking out in the streets of Moscow. So just based off what this first general said, can anybody give any insight about the possibility of having elections affected by the war, their economies dwindling even further down because of COVID restrictions and the economy shutting down? What role does all of this play?
Well, I'd like to say that for one thing, I agree with what that man says. Talking about people aren't thinking about the money and all that kind of thing. But again, what I would like to make clear is that most of all these countries, most of the people in the country are good people who want to live and let live. It's always those people at the top that are the ones that create all the chaos and all the carnage and all that kind of stuff. They're really the ones that need to be taken out, in my opinion. I think overthrowing Russia would not be the answer. Killing the leadership, in my opinion, and I've not been known to hold my tongue. I think that's what they need to do. Kill the leadership, get rid of the problem.
Go ahead, Gator.
I think a couple weeks ago, a lot of Europe. What are you laughing at? A lot of European leaders would have shied away from. What are you laughing at?
I love you, man. I'm not laughing at you.
He's talking about me.
I think a lot of leaders would have. I think a lot of European and our leader would have shied away from big talk. Strong rhetoric, pushing back on Putin. I think they would have shied away from any talk of conventional warfare or openly pushing arms across until this fucking little guy named Zelensky shows up. This fucking Ukrainian president with the balls the size of a fucking water tower. All right. And this guy shows up and he's pretty much been offered numerous times to exfil out of the country. And he's each time said, I'm good. Not only am I not leaving, my family's not leaving. Not only am I not leaving, I'm going to be out here with my fucking troops. And I'm going to fucking shoot freedom pez at Ruskies while they come across my border. And I'm going to fucking schwack their tanks with Dragons and AT-4s in such an incredible fashion that nobody on the planet expected.
Yeah, nobody saw that.
Especially Pooty Poo didn't expect that shit. He thought he was going to come rolling through within 24 hours and take Kyiv. And the Ukrainians had different ideas. Now, understand this. We have had soldiers in Ukraine, advisors. We've had soldiers in Moldova. We've had soldiers all through Europe, Eastern Europe. I've been to Moldova. There's another area, and Moldova is not a NATO nation, but they'd like to join NATO, just like Ukraine. But there's certain there's certain benchmarks that a country has to hit for them to join NATO, and they have to hit these certain benchmarks politically. Of course, the political zone is not my area of expertise. The military side of it, yes. So there were certain aspects of the military. Moldova has a huge residual mine issue left over from the former Soviet Union, right? So they have a lot of Soviet mines. So they have an active counter mine operation going on right now where they're clearing mines. NATO is helping them with that, right? They send advisors. In order for them to join NATO, their military has to be up to par to a certain aspect for them to be able to contribute in a meaningful way. Should NATO be attacked, right? They have to be a contributing member. They can't just be a member by name only. That's another point of NATO. Can't just be a member by name only. Kind of what Trump was saying. You can't just phone it in. I need you people to step up. You need to be NATO. You want to be NATO, be NATO. Pay your dues, increase your military, because we're not pulling the fucking weight for you.
Can I say something real quick? Zelensky?
Let me finish this thought, because I went off on a tangent. I think a couple of weeks ago, elections would have been a big deal. Elections would have been at the forefront of a lot of political minds worldwide. Now, with this Ukrainian president, oh boy, everybody wants to talk tough now, don't they? Because they're seeing a fucking real leader. They're seeing what the world has been thirsting for is a real fucking leader.
Oh, don't even get me started on their mayor.
A tip of the spear, not tip of the turd type of leader. A fucking leader, the fucking front, leaning forward in front of his guys, out there with his men. That's the fucking president of the country. Is out there with fucking body armor and a weapon.
You know what's insane though, dude? You know who this guy Zelensky reminds me of? If Joe Rogan would be president, because he was a comedian. Zelensky was a comedian. He was never into politics. He was a comedian. Joe Rogan's a comedian. And I could see Joe Rogan going out there and fighting a war like Zelensky would or is. And then
how bad does it make our United States look when you got Zelensky there under that attack by Russia showing balls like that, and our president's hiding in his house?
Oh, dude, no, he went on vacation, bro. Dude, this weekend he was in Delaware. He was chilling.
And
he had a bib. He was in Delaware with a bib on. Don't forget that part. Wherever he is, whatever he's doing, he's got a bib because he's drooling.
And then
don't forget that part.
And Gator, don't forget, bro, the mayor of Kyiv
out there too.
Is a
members of parliament out there fighting. All of them. All of them.
But the mayor,
and they're not even saying come here. They're not even saying you guys come help us. They're saying give us bullets
and give us
anti-tank weapons. We'll fucking do it ourselves. Just stay the fuck out. You just give us what we need and we'll take care of the rest. I love those fucking people. And Moldovans are the same way. Moldovans are fight the same fucking way. God forbid fucking Russia, because they have Russian separatists in the Transnistria region in eastern Moldova. Same bullshit. It's Russian special forces. It's the bunch of douchebags, the Wagner group, the fucking Russian Blackwater fucking douches. They're over there and they're just creating havoc. Same shit they did in fucking eastern Ukraine. So, I guarantee they go into Ukraine, Moldova's next. They're going to want to do the same thing for the same reason. They want to protect their citizens in the breakaway regions of fucking Moldova and Ukraine. Fuck you, Russia. Fuck you, Putin. Listen, the dude's gone off the deep end, man. He is, he's something's wrong. Something's wrong. He's scared of fucking COVID. He sits 12 miles away from anybody else at the table. All the shit you're hearing in the news. But beyond that, the big thing that has been festering him, regardless of what's going on with him current-wise right now, whether it be health-wise or psychological-wise or pressure from China, who right now, China who is probably like, yeah, man, go do that. That's fucking cool. Go do that. Right now, China is sitting there watching him step all over his own fucking dick right now. His military bump into each other, get lost, get stuck in the mud, get fucking schwacked by fucking partisans with Molotov cocktails. China's watching that, and they're like, hey, Taiwan, hold on a minute. hang fast, because you're going to require naval movement. Russia, we share a fence. If Putin doesn't think that Ding Ding Ping is not fucking watching him right now and watching this complete and utter goat rope / clusterfuck that he has going on in Ukraine, where he can't even get his fucking troops, what is it, 80 miles, 60 miles from Kyiv to the border, just past Chernobyl into Belarus. He can't get his fucking troops 60 miles.
And
without losing 3,000. This is what the third strongest military in the fucking
it's bypassed 3,000 as of 8 o'clock East, 9 o'clock Eastern time. It's at 5,000.
Something's up. But beyond anything that's going on currently in real time with Vladimir Putin, apart from that, historically, ingrained in his soul, ingrained in his very being, he marinated in that KGB environment. That is in his psyche. It is ingrained in his persona. It is who he is. His mom and dad were members of the organization that preceded the KGB. So he's legacy. He's grown up hating the West. He's grown up hating America. He's grown up hating England and France. He's grown up thinking that Russia is superior. The Russian people are superior and should rule the world.
Yes.
All right. So this is ingrained in him. And to sit and watch how the Soviet Union collapsed in utter defeat, bankrupted
by Rocky Balboa.
Rocky.
For him to watch that, now let's just explain it like this: he's a true patriot, right?
Yeah, but yeah, no doubt.
He's a true patriot for Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine, Barry, you're a pretty true patriot, right?
Yeah,
imagine if you watched that happen to America. Thomas, Kevin, whatever the fuck your name is. I'm sorry, brother. I get hit. I've been hit in the head a whole shit ton, so I forget names. But what I'm saying is, you're a patriot, right? You served. Imagine, Greg. Imagine watching America fall like that in utter defeat and having to contract its borders and contract all this gained property, and for people to be like, ha 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 ha, ha fuck you, and then to sit back for 20, 30, when did they collapse? 91?
91, yeah.
To sit back and watch for the last couple of decades, America get stronger and stronger. And China, the fucking little rice hat wearing fucking, indigenous fuck next door, in his view, that's how he sees them. The inbred Chinese next door, as Putin would see it, to watch them become more powerful and bigger and more technologically advanced, while
because
Russia
of the West
fucking pay the light bill. And
don't forget, dude, China is this rich because of the West.
Mm-hmm.
We helped them get their infrastructure back in thing. We helped them get to where they're at, and we went sit there and watch the Russian people piss on themselves.
The Clinton administration was giving China secrets way back in the Clinton's reign, and everybody since then have been buddy with China and trying to pow to them, and that's what gives Chinese perception of power. But when Trump was president, he showed China they're not that powerful. That's what we need. For me, that's a secret. We need to have the American Zelensky, who I say is Donald Trump, that is willing to go and do it. He's not going to sit there and talk or debate. When he struck Soleimani, who did he consult with?
I'm sorry, I can't hear a whole bunch of what he says. It comes in and out. I don't know if that's happening to anybody else, but on my side, I mean, I hear a little bit here and there. But if we're going to talk about Clintons and the Chinese, I kind of heard that connection there. Let's not ever fucking forget that the Clintons, Bill Clinton, under Bill Clinton's watch, sold the fucking Chinese ICBM technology. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that shit. Don't ever forget that he rented out the fucking Lincoln bedroom to fucking Chinese to come and visit him, and they stayed in the fucking White House. Don't ever forget that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't trust any of them. And Clinton, Obama. I mean, damage has been done by 3 Democratic administrations. Is the only thing that has kept the United States from becoming 10 times more powerful. Is those times when we have a Democratic president, they cut defense spending, our military goes back up. And now what are we doing? Let me tell you something. As a veteran, one thing that pisses me off more than anything, it's hard for a veteran to get what they deserve for the punishment, for the damage that was done to them. That if I decide that I want to be a woman, then they'll gladly pay for gender.
Right.
So what the hell is that about? Looking at the way things are, what really embarrassed me was Fort Bragg. I always held Fort Bragg in high esteem. They were one of the first military posts to have everybody masked up. You know what? I'm telling you, leadership needs balls. You can't be scared of a little virus. I mean, how in the world can you say you're a powerful warrior, but you're afraid of a little virus? Seriously. Especially one that seems to be, it only affects, like, my understanding is 1% of the population. And I mean, maybe I'm going way off the rail, but I'm here to tell you, it makes me insane sometimes. Putin, compared to how I feel about the way things are going in the world and about how our administration and what they're doing is handing us over to the communists, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and I'm with Christy Irwin. It's not that. I mean, listen, I think Zelensky's got balls bigger than the atmosphere, but there's just something strange, man. When these people right here, let's look at this comment. There's something when Clinton, Soros, Pelosi, and many other sellouts are cheering for Ukraine. See, that's where I'm at. I'm cheering for them too, but I don't understand. There's something wrong because these people are poison. These people are enemies of our nation, and something's not right, man.
Let me ask you a question. When you have a group of people that come together, and I'm not going to say Pelosi and Soros and Clinton. I mean, Soros has probably got his fucking dick spinning around in there somewhere, but I'm not going to say U.S. politicians. I don't know, but I promise you, because they were awfully quiet in the beginning.
Yeah, they were.
Not them. China was awfully quiet in the beginning, but I promise you that Putin and Ding Ding had some kind of agreement. They've already talked. I promise you, within those talks that were going on, these talks, Iran, of course, we know the old players. Iran and North Korea were on board, right? I promise you, Pakistan and Turkey were going to flip. Notice I said were. They were going to flip. China was watching the response to see what was going on, and they were going to fucking pounce on Taiwan. Remember, those jets just entered their airspace a little while ago. So that was a test to see what their response was going to be. A lot of this is a test to see what our response is going to be. But I think what happened was the whole plan hinged on the fucking class window licker. And the class window licker sent his boys in there, and they're getting fucked up. And now they're all like, oh, shit. You're kind of fucking up the initial fucking phase of this. If that doesn't go through, this whole thing's screwed. China's kind of coming out saying a little bit more now, aren't they?
I think
Turkey, who was asked by Ukraine not to allow Russian ships through the fucking canal to go into the Black Sea, declined to answer. But then yesterday they said no ships, no ships, none any ships can go through there.
I honestly think that China is funding or helping to fund the Russian thing because they don't have no money.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question. Thomas, you may know the answer to this. How much do these Blackwater fucks cost per person? I'll give you an idea. Entry level security contractor back in the day, when they were offering that shit to my younger ass, was $190 to start for 9 months worth of work. At the end of that 9 months,
it's tax free too.
You go on 3 months leave. You can go wherever you want. You go on 3 months leave, and then you renegotiate your contract to come back for your next 9 months, or for your next contract, and you renegotiate that so you get an increase in that pay each time you do that every year. So there's guys that have been contracting for 10 years. They're millionaires. They work 9 months out of the year. The other 3 months out of the year, they go to fucking Bangkok, or whatever they want to do. These guys aren't cheap, right?
That's definitely the fact.
Right? They're expensive.
Yeah.
There's about 6,000, I think, as of 2019, Wagner Group fuckfaces running around out there. Wagner Group, Russian version of Blackwater, funded by the government, right? They're just another fucking paramilitary wet work kind of bullshit. Same thing we've been doing. They're expensive as fuck. He just hired, or there's 400 of them right now searching for Zelensky in Ukraine. He hired them to assassinate Zelensky. 400 Wagner Group little pricks looking for him. That's pretty expensive to hire 400 dudes just to go fucking schwack one guy. That's some John Wick money, right?
Absolutely.
Putin's hurting for cash right now, isn't he?
That's what they say, especially
as of midnight last night. He's hurting for even more cash, so he's got to be getting money from somewhere.
Well, the oil for one thing, he's getting money for $100 a barrel, we're buying.
He's getting 15% of our fucking oil. That money. Why are we buying
Germany is at 70+%, oil dependence on Russia right now.
Yeah,
and that's over.
Any oil?
And that's just Germany.
Because Joe Biden just canceled a bunch of contracts for drilling.
Yeah. So yeah, he's getting money from a couple of places. And again, the sanctions are a joke. We'll come back to that. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly show. Let's get into this next general. They bring some very interesting perspective, and I want to get your perspective. So give me a second. Here we go.
Is NATO ready for war? If you were to look at the larger countries of NATO, let's start with the US. US have moved a total of 3,000 troops to Poland. 3,000 is a brigade. Germany is not ready to fight at the moment. So economically, none of the European countries are ready for war. Psychologically, none of the European countries are ready for war. All of them have just started recovering from the third or the fourth phase of the corona, right? And they're definitely not ready to now mobilize their troops. So President Putin has kept all this in mind when he has hit Ukraine at the time when he has hit. War is now not just fought on the battlefield, it's fought on all the battlefields, right? And on all the battlefields at the present moment, NATO is not ready.
NATO went into Afghanistan in 2001. The Great Recession from 2007 to 2009 did not halt its operations there. NATO left Afghanistan only in 2021. So something else is holding NATO back from Ukraine. Could it be the recent threat by President Vladimir Putin? Listen in.
Could it be?
No, I think the problem is that I think the reason why the United States hasn't engaged in this is strictly a financial reason, and it has to do with oil. The reason why we're not going in is for oil. Everything that when we went into Iraq, it's for oil. Because I remember one of the first things we did is we protected the oil rigs out there. And if we step on Putin's toes, he's gonna he could easily turn that spigot down, and oil goes up to what, like maybe $300-400 a barrel. It's just that simple.
What do you got, Thomas?
Well, one thing I'd like to say is that I think one of the reasons the United States is doing what they're doing is mainly because of Joe Biden. We keep talking about the oil that Russia has. The United States has the complete ability to be able to sustain its own gas and oil. The problem with it is that our people at the top are trying to take our legs out from under us. One, by stopping our Keystone pipeline so we can make some money, and then letting Russia take that over. And the United States, we can make all but 90% of U.S. oil gets exported. People forget that. Even back in the days when OPEC was mighty, we were buying it from them, but the oil made in the United States was going overseas because oil companies, who, by the way, are very greedy, they want to make money. So instead of selling it to the United States or having it in the United States, they're selling it overseas so they can get more money for it. United States is in a turmoil right now. If we don't get, legitimate leadership in places before too long, this whole world can go out of control. And I think you remember the old thing about I think it was the Lone Ranger in Tonto, that they come up into a place where they're surrounded by 5,000 Indians. Well, in this case, China is Tonto and Russia is the Lone Ranger. He says, Tonto, we're surrounded, we're in trouble, we're surrounded by. So what do you mean we, pale face? That's what China's saying to Russia right now.
What do you mean we, white man?
What are you
We
talking about?
out there.
Don't you call me that? I'm Vladimir Putin. I cut your dick off. It's this big anyway.
I'm going to say this. Is NATO ready to fight a war?
No.
Russia's been sitting there for the last 20 years. And really the only, other than their Wagner dicks, which really they've only been in Africa too. Russia's really only, other than like Georgia or, kind of on their borders a little bit, just real small engagements. They've only really been in Africa.
Crimea. They used a little bit of ground troops in Crimea in 2014.
A little bit, yeah. Just these little incursions into Crimea and Georgia and earlier in Ukraine. But the following countries participated heavily in Operation Enduring Freedom, which is Afghanistan alone. It's going to be Denmark, who I worked with, United Kingdom I worked with, France I worked with, Australia I worked with, Canada, Germany, Belgium, Norway I've all worked with, Italy, Georgia, Spain, Portugal, Poland, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Sweden, Czech Republic, New Zealand, Netherlands, Ukraine, Turkey, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, United Arab Emirates. These are all countries that for the last 20 years
you forgot one. Israel.
I don't know that Israel is in Afghanistan.
Oh, they were in Iraq. Never mind. My bad.
But these are all countries just in Afghanistan alone that have had their fair share of good engagements, have been engaged for 20 fucking years in combat and refined some of their SOPs and hone some of their skills and modernize their armies because NATO is getting a shit ton of money. All right. And under the guise of ISAF, International Security Assistance Force, which is NATO, they got a shit ton of money from us, from the world, and so these countries, all these countries who a lot of them border Russia, are they ready? So are they tired? Yeah. Are we all tired of war? Are we all like? It was nice. It was nice to have 15 minutes of quiet of not having to deal with it. And also just in hindsight, it was nice not to have a Cold War. That was a nice break.
Yeah,
I remember the Cold War. Very, Thomas, you look a little bit older.
Oh yeah, I was in when Ivan was the main target. Absolutely.
Yeah, I grew up in the military, learning how to fight Soviets. That was what we were learning how to do, was kill Soviets, kill Russians. How are we going to fight them in Europe? That was the entire battle plan, right? In all sorts of good ways. And it's nice to see that the Ukrainians are using some of those tactics and actually the equipment. I was joking about this to some of the old timers. I said, when they handed us the Dragon on the AT-4 and the Javelin, and we shot those things and they were really cool. They're like, here, these are some fucking anti-tank stuff. And you're like, yeah, this is cool. And you're thinking, as a kid in the military against the big red menace, Russia's this big bad guy, Ivan Drago and shit kind of mentality.
Rocky in the Cold War.
Yeah, and you're thinking, man, is this shit really going to kill a fucking Russian tank? For us, it was like the World War II guys up against Tigers, the Nazi Tiger tanks. We're thinking, fuck, are we going to be able to kill these Russian tanks? And yeah, pretty sure we're going to be able to fucking kill them if these Ukrainians fuck it out in the streets, man. This unorganized rabble can stop a fucking 40-mile long convoy with these weapons. Imagine what they'd be like in the hands of guys that have been training with them for years, or sometimes using them in the earlier part of the war on terror, and coming up again, Persian Gulf One, shit. I guess we got a chance to hit some 72s with them then, but tow missiles and shit. But see that these handheld enablers work in with an indigenous force that's obviously been trained by some cool guys. It's nice to see it. It's nice to see that work pay off.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see that weaponry work in the ground. Because people thought they were going to get steamrolled, and but they're putting up a valiant effort, and they should be commended for that. Yeah, and the question stands, is NATO ready for war? I don't know. A lot of money we got dumped in Afghanistan, and a lot of money came out of Afghanistan as well. And like you said, if they're not tired, they are tired, but you answer the call. So you answer the call, and hopefully.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you really trust our army nowadays? They kicked out all the old dogs.
I'm kind of glad to see these Russian soldiers just be a bunch of fucking dumbass kids worried about their cell phones, because Tom, you probably feel my fucking pain. That's the same issue we got going on now, man. It was the same shit towards the end of my career with these fucking kids. I wanted to shove these phones up their asses, and they were more worried. Go ahead, man.
Can I tell you something that really pissed me off? Back before the Iron Curtain fell, American newspapers were saying, "Oh, Russia's great. They got all this technology." All the intel we were getting inside the military was saying they're nothing but a paper lion. They're nothing. They got nothing. They're all flash and no bang. And sure enough, 89 through 91 proved that the whole time they were falling apart the whole time. So our American media does more to talk about our enemies and build them up than is really true.
And and tell me, guys, in the field, you second guess your fucking abilities. You train hard, you train real hard, and you're like, I'm gonna be fucking tactically proficient, because when when they break the glass and we go forward, I want to fucking if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, the way it's supposed to be done, this whole fucking thing fails, right? And so that's how we train. We're just so adamant about making sure that we're all proficient.
But do you trust?
It makes you second guess yourself when the media is like the big red menace and the big Chinese man. And look, I've said since 91, Russia, the Soviet Union didn't go anywhere. They're just sleeping. The bear is sleeping now. It's in hibernation, and it's been sitting there waiting, and they're bankrupt still. They don't have much of a their military. Obviously, their tanks are susceptible. They're using fucking old equipment. I still can't understand like their equivalent of a deuce and a half or a 5-ton or their LMTV FMTVs are like fucking Korean War era fucking trucks, you know,
Cold War trucks.
Yeah, and then you look at the Chinese. They have a ton of shit. They have tons of shit, and it's all shit. Think about what you buy at Walmart. It's all garbage. It breaks down in a fucking year, right? If you drop your fucking toaster from Walmart, that shit's never going to work again. The Chinese fucking aircraft, all their equipment's the same way. They have a ton of it. And that's the whole point, is that's that Russian, that Soviet communist doctrine. The Soviet doctrine of fighting is to fight in echelon, you know, weapons in the front, the best weapons in the front, and then the next weapons, and then the next weapons, and then they start getting in the older shit, and then they start getting in the fucking pitchforks and shit, and those people just pick stuff up as they go forward. They pick the, you know, but they just hit you with wave after wave after wave. But you know, that's cool. But again, their shit's all garbage. It's mass-produced garbage. So are they a paper tiger?
But there's another thing too about our enemies that they can never understand about the United States. The reason the United States has been able to exercise and kick ass is because we understand what real freedom is. None of our enemy understand true freedom. They're just doing what they're told to do. They're following orders.
Yeah, and that goes into that, you know, the doctrine that we were all taught, you know, as a private. You know, communication up and down the chain. Why? Yeah.
Musket Gator.
Fucking Jay. You know, that's that doctrine we're all taught. Communicate up and down the chain. What do you see? What do you hear? Up the chain. And then you also get that information back down the chain. Those Soviet models, those Russia, China, those Soviet doctrine models don't work like that. They don't communicate back down the chain, and their subordinates are afraid to communicate up the chain. So if you decapitate the head, which is what we were always taught, go after the command and control structures out of the fucking gate. That's what we're going to fucking do. We're going to hit command and control structures, because then, just like you're seeing in Ukraine right now with these fucking kids, their guys are out there with their dicks flapping in the wind. They have no idea what to do. They don't have no idea what the overall concept is, because they're not briefed that way. They have no idea how to complete the mission, because their leaders are so paranoid to pass information down that they're worried that information that they're going to have trade. Well, if you fucking treated your people right, then you wouldn't have traitors, right? You wouldn't have people that wanted to defect. It's a fucking vicious cycle. You treat your people right, then you don't have to fucking worry about them telling the secrets. But if you're treating your people right, then you're also probably a decent leader, and you don't have to worry about fucking taking over little tiny countries. So,
but you know, the other thing too, remember our mask always had voice emitters on them. In like Russia and China, only the commanders have voice emitters. You kill the commander, you've taken out the entire
everybody, man. You kill the command and control structure. That's what we were taught from day one. Kill the leaders.
And see,
that goes back to our fucking revolutionary times, brother. Kill the fucking lieutenants. Kill the fucking officers.
Yeah, decapitate the bear, the cubs go running back to mama.
They don't even know what to do. These kids are fucking surrendering and crying. And the biggest,
by the way, they're trying to hug their Ukrainian comrades, but they don't know that the Ukrainians aren't their comrades.
Dude, the biggest flex in the fucking world that I saw the other day, yesterday, I think, was the president of Ukraine coming out. Or no, it wasn't the president. It was the ambassador to the United Nations, comes out and was talking about how many prisoners they've taken and how many Russians are killed, and he's got a list of the aircraft and the armor and the vehicles they've destroyed. And then the biggest flex, the biggest go fuck yourself Russian warship to Vladimir Putin was, and if you want to talk to your kids that we have prisoner, here's the phone number. Because not only are we going to let you talk to them to verify that they're okay and they're being treated well, not only are we telling you that we're going to do that, but we also, thankfully to somebody who everybody villainizes in the media, but thankfully to somebody, they have internet and phones still up.
Yeah.
Through satellite.
Elon Musk.
Damn.
Yeah.
Boy, he's
Elon
not
Musk.
such a bad guy now, is he?
No, he's the savior.
What's he getting paid to do that? Woo!
Nothing.
That was Starlink, wasn't it?
Huh?
Starlink, wasn't it that they uploaded Starlink?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Shout
saw a
out to
picture.
Elon Musk, man, for doing a good job. Look, let's get through this last clip here on the generals. I do appreciate the feedback because, again, I'm just trying to get an idea, and I appreciate everybody's perspective. It's on this panel. So look, let's go to this next clip here. These generals here, this last general is going to talk about the why NATO is not fighting and why they're not prepared for war.
Принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции. Кто бы ни пытался помешать нам, а тем более создать угрозы для нашей страны, для нашего народа, должны знать, что ответ России будет незамедлительным.
I have, as you know, I was the Strike Corps commander of India. I have carried out a very big exercise with the Russian army. And I have seen that they are willing to use their nuclear weapons at the first instance. Because to them, they say, if we don't use it now, we don't survive. So the Russians not only have it, they have exercised with it, they have planned it, and they are willing to use nuclear weapons. The Russian ability and the willingness to use these weapons of mass destruction simply prevents any kind of boots on the ground by NATO.
All right, y'all are watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. Again, I have. We did talk about, the threat of Russia using nukes. I mean, if this is a desperate man, he might take desperate measures. But again, we don't know. But again, my question has always been, why has our president put so much money into the hands of the Russians by way of not restricting their ability to do business around the world in the oil industry. And we're going to take a look here at Donald Trump back in 2018 at the NATO summit and get Donald Trump's take on oil. And I think this is important. And I think everybody here on this panel has alluded to, we need leadership that has balls. And, when you watch this clip right here from the NATO summit back in 2018 with Donald Trump, he took command of that meeting, and he set the record straight about America's role in NATO and how it's traitorous, in so many words, for NATO countries to be purchasing oil from the big bad bear, Russia. Check this out.
U.S. military presence in Europe helps to protect Europe, but it also helps the United States project power to the Middle East, to Africa, and I think also that the military cloud of Europe, the economic cloud, the political cloud, also is helpful dealing with Russia. And we look forward to the meeting we're going to have with President Putin. And I think that leaders are also looking forward to your thoughts about the meeting with President Putin later on.
Well, I have to say, I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. And then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia. And I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate? I mean, I've been complaining about this from the time I got in. It should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened. And I think we have to talk to Germany about it. On top of that, Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%, whereas the United States in actual numbers is paying 4.2% of a much larger GDP. So I think that's inappropriate also. You know, we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting everybody, and yet we're paying a lot of money to protect. Now, this has been going on for decades. This has been brought up by other presidents, but other presidents never did anything about it because I don't think they understood it or they just didn't want to get involved. But I have to bring it up because I think it's very unfair to our country. It's very unfair to our taxpayer. And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period. They have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem. I don't think it's fair to the United States. So we're going to have to do something because we're not going to put up with it. We can't put up with it.
And we won't put up with it. Okay, so let me get your take on that, Gator. Again, this is what I don't understand. Like, you know, these NATO got a beef with Russia, but they're Russian dependent on energy.
Mm-hmm. I think, and you know, again, I'll support the president. I'm having a hard time supporting this one. I'll support any president that's in office. I'm a patriot. And there were things I liked about Trump, things I didn't like about Trump. Overall, I think what he was doing for the country was incredible.
Yes. Yes. No
I
doubt.
also think he, either through business acumen or dealings and some kind of almost like insider trading, you know, had information on the inside about Russia's intentions and, you know, what the ultimate goals were. Because he seemed to know this shit prior to becoming president, because he talked about it. But once he became president, and I guess maybe he had all this information validated for him through intel, he really was visionary, might be a strong word, but he really was trying to let the world know what was coming and say, look, Germany, you're fucking stupid if you're doing this. What are you doing? Like they had the same intel that we have. They know what's going on, but yet they're still doing business with this prick. So, it's when you know, these countries are so beholden to the dollar or the ruble or the euro or the fucking rock, whatever they're using for currency, that they're willing to allow dickweeds like Putin to get even stronger. He should have been in a box. You know, I'm very Patton-esque in my not only my tactics but in my political philosophy. So I'm all for. I've not liked them ever, but I was raised like that. I used to have to duck my fucking head under my desk to do drills. So when the cleanup crews came around, we would all be in a nice, neat, packed little fucking ashen pile under our desks so they could just sweep us up. But, you know, I remember those days. I remember the fucking Red Menace. I remember when I joined having to fucking worry about Russians. I remember seeing the results of Cuban special forces and Russian Spetsnaz in Central America, seeing the results of them down there. So anybody that wants to be an apologist for Russia, you can kiss my ass. I've seen what those people have done throughout the world. I see the effect. I saw the effects left over decades after they left Afghanistan. The destruction, the mental fucking destruction they left behind from the people afraid of pistols and knives, because that's how they were executed by Russians. Just I could hold my rifle all day, but if I put my hand on my pistol, That made them nervous. Or I also had a cookery kind of hanging out of my gear a little bit, and I had the handle, and I'd rest my arm on there. That made them nervous. That's kind of that is a trauma response to an entire country done to a people by another country. And those results are the same in Belarus, Ukraine, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Eastern Germany. All those people remember what it was like to be under the Soviet rule. And they don't want any fucking part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Ukrainians especially.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, anything that was left in their wake, it was bad. And historically, it's been the same way. I mean, I don't see Vladimir Putin as a savior of any kind, though that's the kind of rhetoric that he spills over. I have to go save Ukraine from the West. My stance has always been I'm looking at what he wants to do in regard of saying, just in the name of, I'm pretty much surrounded, which is why I put this here. Surrounded by blue, and I think he feels that way. But the measures that he's taking, and he's having these ridiculous, these ludicrous demands that he wants countries to lay down their arms and just let him take. He's lost his goddamn mind.
He is in a paranoid state, and that is dangerous. People are like, why aren't we just going after him right now? This is like an active shooter scenario. He's already shot, right?
Yeah.
Now he's in the building, and he's wearing a bomb.
Yeah. He's
wearing a fucking bomb. And the world is like, we got to do something. But meanwhile, SWAT's setting the fuck up, right? He ain't getting out. He can give up, or he might take us all out with him, but he ain't getting the fuck out.
Right.
So that's what's going on right now, man. Look at these countries. Like Poland is like straight up balls on the fucking table. Like, we're sending in weapons. France, the biggest European apologist for Russia ever. They've been fucking half Russian the whole time. Seized a fucking Russian cargo ship. Right on, France. It's about time you fucking surrender monkeys had some balls.
I've had one mantra in my life for years, and it's simply this: the only good communist or socialist is a dead communist or socialist. So the rest of the world can get on by.
I got to figure out what's going on with his microphone. My head is spinning. I'm trying to figure out, Tom, we got you coming in and out. I don't know why. But we
make sure you're plugged in all the way, Tom.
I think it's Bluetooth. Are you Bluetooth then?
Yeah. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
There it is.
We might have life.
I heard you.
Let me touch on what you said, Gator. Like, he is in the building, he ain't coming out. Well, here's the part that confuses me even more. To make sure he doesn't come out, you turn on American oil.
Yeah, we got to cut the power to the building off, man.
Yeah, you turn on American oil, then the prices of oil go down, and he can't get any money. He loses a shit ton of money, and that war that he's in right now, he's getting stuck, and it costs him even more money.
I still think he's getting funded from China, so I don't.
He may be. However, you can't allow our money and NATO's money to end up in this man's pocket. All of those central banks that they're sanctioning, okay, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean nothing to him.
Nope. He has money coming in every single day.
We have to turn American oil back on. And this is Joe Biden, and I can't figure out why in the hell is he. I mean, it's like he's saying, hey, Putin, I'm going to help you. But then in the media, we're saying, because listen, I love this country. I'm just under the impression that our government has been infiltrated. And I think anybody that's got a half a brain can see it. These people that are running this nation are not pro-American. They are not about America. They are about us being on our knees with a Chinese pecker laying across our faces and Russian, wood in the back door. And I mean, that's what's got me so pissed off and got me so confused, because I can't wrap my mind. I'm a pretty smart guy. I cannot wrap my mind around what's in it for America or what's in it for Joe Biden, because he's not about America. Something is up with that nation, Ukraine, and him also he's pretty much funding Russia's war. by keeping our energy manufacturing on the ground, suppressed. So he's saying on one hand, we stand with Ukraine, and on the other hand, he's funding Russia's war.
Here's what we're running into is we have a fucking president who's worried about poll numbers. If they cut off all that Russian oil, that's 15% of our oil right now, right? If they cut that off, what's going to happen? Gas is going to go up. It's going to be fucking $7 a gallon within a week. It'll be, and it's already approaching that in some places. But
that's almost there.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Okay.
Make sure you ain't leaving.
I just wanted to check. I hate to inject here, but I mean, and maybe I'm just an old dinosaur, but I have never. KGB is no different than Gestapo. And there's other people. George Soros has been funding everybody to try to take America for years. And all these people, Putin, Biden and all these people that are trying to help all these other countries are thinking when these countries come in and take us over, they're going to have a sweet spot, and they're stupid because when those countries come in, they'll kill them just the same as everybody else. They're asinine. They don't have any sense. And in my opinion, the only good communist or socialist is a dead one.
Yeah.
Neither one of those things work. That's what all our brothers laid down their lives for. People have lost limbs and given blood for, is to keep that dirty menace out of this country. And the whole thing in Afghanistan, if you want to talk about a clusterfuck and a goat rope, there's a big one for you. A 3-year-old would know the difference. Would have better tactics, and how that Millie can stand up there. The dude is he told China. Tell me where that's not treason. You tell our enemy, I'll let you know when we're going to strike. Give me a break. They should have cut his head off and hung it up on the Capitol building.
Let me tell you something about our fucking illustrious leader. The entire senior level staff is all fucking full of shit. But General Milley, I'll just give you a little taste. General Milley, on his resume, first he's an armor officer, right? So that's how he started his career. Once he graduated college, he went to the academy. He graduated and commissioned as an armored officer. Good for him. Some people like to ride around in targets. After that,
for this.
After that,
hey, I did. I'm sorry. I definitely like riding around in targets.
I'm a light fighter. I don't like to be in a target. Anyway, you guys can all die together in one vehicle. That's cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, so shortly after that, there was this little conflict called Operation Just Cause.
Going after Noriega, the pineapple.
Yeah, going after Noriega. And that was predominantly 82nd Airborne dropping in, Merry Christmas. Guess where you guys are going? You're going to get a fucking Caribbean vacation for Christmas. Right on. There was probably, I don't know, I could be wrong, 3-4 Sherman tanks that were there. And they were part of like 9. I can't remember the fucking number. What the fuck? Don't do that. The 926th Armor or some shit. I can't remember, but they were part of the 82nd. They had old fucking Sherman tanks, like 4 of them. And Milley says he was in Panama, that he jumped in Operation Just Cause as an armor officer. But like I said, there's only 3, 4, 5 Sherman tanks on the ground in Panama. And his unit wasn't the unit that deployed to Panama. But yet it's on his resume. I don't know. I don't want to say anything.
I think he paid for that one. He paid for that one. Somebody paid to get that one up there. I
don't want to say anything. But nowhere in his entire illustrious career to get him to the chairman seat of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, nowhere in his illustrious career have I seen anywhere that he has led soldiers, led troops on the ground outside the wire in a combat zone at any point during his career. Never once outside the wire. And what that tells me is that he has zero understanding of what combat is like on the ground. He has zero understanding of the dynamics. And when you have that kind of experience as a leader, you take things like understanding the smell, the heat, the dynamics, the things that you need to understand, the mindset of the people, the way their tone is. So when a commander says something like, "What did he say to you?" and they tell you what he said, and the commander turns around and says, "How did he say that?" It's because he understands the people, because he's been on the ground in that area, or he's been on the ground with indigenous people and actually performed, as a special forces operator, that he fucking seems to have his nice tower of power. But I don't understand how a fucking person that is a tabbed ranger, tabbed special forces, can actually get to that level and have never led a team in the field during combat outside the wire, never fucking ran a ranger battalion, never ran a fucking ranger company, ever a ranger platoon, a ranger squad, nothing has this guy ever done to prove to me or to show me that he has the fucking skill, the technical and tactical proficiency to be a fucking leader at a senior level, other than paper whip fucking deployments.
Well, maybe he's a professional toe toucher, if you know what I mean.
And the rest of them are as well. That's my point. That's why I'm kind of relieved to see Russian troops stepping on their dicks right now, because it makes me less worried about having to fight a real battle.
Yeah. General Milley's a joke. Another one of those.
All I'm worried about now is China. But again, if we don't stop fucking dipshit in Ukraine, pull up a map of that region right now, if you could. There,
it's right behind him.
Real Greg Kelly.
Yeah, let me take. I got you. Hold on. I'm gonna let you look at it right here.
Or a map of that entire continent. All right, so we can just use that. So, you look at Ukraine, right? He takes Ukraine. If you look at that, you see Romania. That little knob looks like Ukraine's appendix, kind of between Ukraine and Romania. That's Moldova. He'll take that. He'll move his troops down into Georgia and Azerbaijan, and Kazakhstan will fall. Turkey will flip, and they'll move south and actually be kind of a blocking mechanism along that border there from Europe, a land block to get people into the Middle East. And so Syria, of course, will flip over to Russia. Israel will be fucked. Pakistan will flip. Iran, obviously, no worries there. They'll stay on the team that they're used to. Iraq will fall. India will do what they can. Pakistan will take the opportunity to butt fuck them because they don't like each other. Kashmir will go. All of the stands, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, they'll all fall. And so China and Russia, along with their little minions. Oh, I'm sorry. We can get over to the other side. South Korea will fall. Taiwan will fall. All those other island regions.
Yeah,
there's
island regions over there.
Japan won't fall.
Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, obviously with Belarus's help, will fall. Those are NATO countries. So you'll see Russia and China with management in the area running the Middle East, the world's oil, killing off Israel, the only real defense that we have in the region. They'll attempt to go into Africa, and that's where your next big battles will be over resources, and is in Africa. Because now we won't be getting silicone, we won't be getting fucking all the cool things we need for iPhones and all the little gadgets we need. And so shit that we can't get that from China or that region. So where else do we get that from? Oh yeah, let's fucking rape Africa, and we're gonna go ahead and do that. Oh wait, they don't like us either because we have issues with fucking Somalia and Rwanda and
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, I mean,
So you see
it's a
the
shit
problem.
show.
Like people are like, why are we even getting involved in Ukraine? Because it's not just Ukraine. It's a domino effect. If you don't stop him now and bloody his nose, he'll feel emboldened, and the rest of these places will have no hope and just say, you know what, nobody's gonna fucking do anything. So why not?
I don't know the way it's looking. I don't think he can take anybody. But anyway, look, let's get. We got 2 more clips here, and we're gonna shut this down. You're watching the Real Greg Kelly Show, and we have Gator, the conservative band, Thomas Kerr, a brotherhood here, man. So listen, we're going to look at this brother here. I think his name's Larry Kudlow. He's a funny guy, but he explains this oil situation and these sanctions pretty well here. So check this clip out. It's really interesting.
JP Morgan can't do business now by law because we've sanctioned commercial banks, and probably JP Morgan's correspondents around the world will not do business with Russian central banks. They have avoided all of the energy-related banks. Okay,
that was my next question.
That's kind of a glitch.
Is that because there's too much, that Vladimir Putin has too much leverage and they just don't want to go there yet? I mean, that's the bulk of their economy. If you really want to make it hurt, you hit him at energy.
Yeah, the late John McCain put it very well. It was one of his finest moments. He was a friend of mine. He said, Russia's an old gas station masquerading as a country. All they do is oil and gas. That's it. They have some raw materials, too. So the way to get at them is to open the spigots wide, okay, drill, pipeline, get the world oil price down. This is where Biden has made an enormous mistake and has handed Putin, on a silver platter, a lot of financial power. I'll give you a little bit of history real fast. When oil prices got to $150 a barrel in 2008, Putin took Georgia. Okay. Then oil prices simmered down. Then oil prices in 2014 got back to $100 a barrel. Putin took Crimea. Then with the fracking revolution, which started under Obama, even though he opposed it, and then continued under Trump with energy independence, oil prices were low, $25, $40, $45, maybe $50. You never heard from Putin. The past year, oil prices have jumped from $50 to $100. Wow. Putin made about $85 billion in profits from that, and he's using that money to finance his war on Ukraine. So the moral of the story is open the spigots. Biden is doing exactly the reverse. At his press conference Thursday, Biden attacked the oil and gas
Yes,
companies.
he did.
Said, don't take advantage of those. Jennifer Granholm, right now, the energy secretary, has a hold on 6 LNG export projects. She won't put it through. The Interior Department has stopped all new federal leasing for new projects, whether it's oil and gas or LNG exports. They are doing everything to help Putin rather than to hurt him. So, Pete, I'm for sanctions. We need to go further on that. We need to sanction the central bank. We need to sanction all the commercial banks. That will hurt a lot. But ultimately, pour it on. We could produce 15 million barrels a day. We're only at 11.5 now. You do that, gasoline prices come down. The world crude price comes down. Putin loses money. So like Ukraine, he's stuck in Ukraine. It's going to cost him a lot more money than he thought. That's the way to go after him. Reinstate the Keystone Pipeline. Reinstate the drilling in Alaska. So simple. All the above energy policy. I'm not against renewables. I'm saying don't close down our principal source because we're handing Putin profits and he uses those profits to exercise, his whatever demonic. He wants to break up NATO, take the U.S. down. Just drill.
And again, this is what perplexes me, as he said it, doing everything to help Putin and not hurt him. This is why I'm so perplexed, man.
Because for some reason, the whole left side of the left in America is all for green energy. For some reason, you can't do it. It doesn't work. The Texas ice freeze proved that. I'm sure Gator remembers that. You can't do renewable. You have to have oil. Plus, if you even think about this, Joe Biden, if you ever watch this video, it's not really green because all those batteries, you're still drilling into the ground to get lithium to make the batteries. Go ahead.
Go. Nope.
And then it takes 1,000 years for those batteries to decompose when you wreck the fucking car. Plus, when you charge that car and those batteries, you're using fossil fuel to your house to charge it. So you're really not getting rid of oil. It's stupid the way that they're thinking. We need to open up the Keystone Pipeline. We need to open up federal land drilling, start issuing leases to that area so we can become energy dependent.
It's a wartime posture. It's time to enter into that. There's no pussyfooting around this. We're in a wartime posture, and we need to act as such. Bottom line.
Bottom line.
But am I right?
I'm sorry if everybody is in denial. Not here in this panel, but I'm sorry if America's in fucking denial about what's going on. The Cold War is back.
Yeah.
Hey.
2.0.
Breaks over. Clock the fuck back in. It's back. Bro, your kids get to grow up just like you did. All that shit that we did. Again, for the second time in 7 months, Joe Biden has ruined years of work by being weak. Not only did he squander the treasure and blood and sacrifice in Afghanistan, he also squandered the treasure, blood, and sacrifice of the Cold War by being a weak motherfucker. Had he not been weak, this never would have happened.
You know, something I've always wondered about, America also has another thing. They have old arthritic geezers like myself. Why don't they send us over there? We can do
shut your fucking mouth right now. Don't you put that in anybody's fucking ear. Don't you say a damn word and have anybody being called. No, don't you damn do that, Thomas.
I want
put that bug out there. Don't you put that
what?
evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Do you know what I would love more than anything? I would consider if I was able to put a bullet in Putin's forehead, if I was able to pop him a new asshole in his forehead, my life would be complete.
You know, it's funny. It's funny that I waited my entire life as a soldier. I trained hard just to fight Russians, kill Russians, right? I fucking retire. 4 years later,
here comes the op, right?
Motherfuckers, you sons of bitches.
They waited.
I left the party right before it got good.
We can do just like Uncommon Valor, man.
It's one keg we get too many. I went home and the fight broke out.
Listen, man, I'm down for some asymmetric bullshit. You know, if they want to play with the Wagner group and have fun like that, I'm down for a little. I would love to take on their little Wagner dudes like that. I would love to fucking have a toe to toe with, like, to have an opportunity. Like some of our folks had a chance in Syria. They came up against some Syrian and fucking Wagner group dudes, and actually Russian regulars. They had a little tiny go, and you know, I don't know. I'm all about let's see who's got it. I'm old school. You want to bring some of your old school guys? I would love to see. Let's just do this somewhere in a fucking desert, somewhere nobody gets hurt. We can just fucking go at it. You get your best guys, and we'll get some of our fucking dudes, and we can just
let's do it like Troy, right?
Let's fucking dance, baby. Let's fucking dance. Look, people are like, "Oh, I'm scared about a war in Europe." You want the only possible thing that could ever get me to go back in would be something like this. If this fucking broke out and became a thing. But a lot of people are gonna have to get cool about a lot of shit real quick.
Oh yeah, you can't be soft. You can't be sensitive.
On the fucking army side, they're gonna have to get used to my old school ass fucking chewing motherfuckers out, making little bitch boys cry, and motivating them to fucking run through fire. Because that's
you know what movie came out when I was in jump school? Red Dawn. Wolverines.
Fuck.
Yeah, that was a hell of a movie.
Yeah.
By the way, we need a little bit of that now. You talking about running through fire. You try to fire one of them punks up, they go run through fire. If they drop their cell phone, they'll run back in the fire and burn up. Dumbasses.
Bro, here's the sad thing with our
I
army
saw
right
that,
now.
Joker. Don't worry. And I've been. Don't worry. I saw that request, and not only that, I'm not the only one that saw that. And a lot of friends of mine have seen that.
Dude, here's the problem with the American army right now, dude, is we're gonna have Joe Bob that became Marie Antoinette, and dude, they've kicked out all the men, like all the men that were not vaxxed, they're gone. So all the old school cats are gone. Our army's weak, bro.
Out of any of the fucking prisoners or KIA, I want to know if any of them are transgender. The Russians. I want to know if we have killed or captured, or not, we Ukrainians have killed or captured any transgender or openly gay soldiers. I'm just curious.
Wait a minute. Back up.
I'm just curious.
You think there's any pom poms and tatas and bikinis under that fatigue, man?
I'm just wondering if they're as woke as our military, if they have the same thing. I'm just curious. I would like to fucking see, how effective those soldiers are in combat.
If they are, I promise you, if somebody step up out there and they got a bra on and a damn makeup bag, and you know what I'm saying, and their hiking bag, this is what's gonna happen to them.
I mean, to be honest with you, I may very well have served with. I know I have served with openly gay soldiers. One of my best friends was the first openly gay soldier killed in combat in Iraq. Alan G. Rogers, hell of a soldier. But I'm curious if the Russians have anything like that. I'm curious. Just want to see. Because like I said, I don't know if somebody is gay. I don't ask that. It's not my focus as a leader. I don't give a shit what you do when you're off the clock. I just worry if you shoot straight and not in my ass. That's what I worry about as a fucking leader. So, I've assessed a lot of good soldiers. Never worried about their sexuality or their, any of that. So I'm curious. The performance issues are the ones that are performing well. Do they have any transgender gay soldiers on that side, or the ones that are not performing well? Are those an issue? I'm just curious. I'd like to get a consensus, see how it is on their side.
I don't think communism allows for open.
Well, I don't know if you can be openly gay, but you can definitely be behind the barracks touching your toes. We got one more clip here, y'all, and it's getting late. I'm over here. It's damn midnight, but I just want to get y'all's take on this last clip. Tell me how you feel about this information. I've done my homework. The sources are true. I know mainstream media is covering this up, but a former DoD officer has confirmed that Joe Biden definitely curled up in the arms of Xi Jinping, sucking his thumb, talking about the mighty Russia, and was assisting him, asking Xi for his assistance, and this is what happened.
Are you urging China to help isolate Russia? Are you urging China to help isolate Russia?
I'm not prepared to comment on that at the moment.
That was President Biden on Thursday dodging a question about China as reports surfaced that Biden shared key details about the U.S.'s potential response to Russian aggression. But then the CCP turned around and shared the secret plans with Vladimir Putin. Joining me right now is former Pentagon Chief of Staff Kash Patel. Kash, good morning to you. Thanks very much for being here live from CPAC this morning. Your reaction to that scenario in terms of China turning around and sharing important classified info from the U.S. with Russia?
It is a colossal, good morning, Maria. It is a colossal failure of leadership, and it shows another distinction yet between the Biden administration and the Trump administration. The fact that the commander-in-chief wouldn't answer that question and that no one is covering leads me to believe that he took classified intelligence, and the reporting is accurate now from multiple sources, and handed it over to our world's biggest enemy, U.S.'s biggest enemy, China. And then, of course, China was going to turn around and give it to Russia because Xi Jinping and Putin have paired up and teamed up against the United States of America. The fact that this commander-in-chief did not know that was going to happen is outrageous. But what is tantamount and disrupts American national security is that we're actually doing that. We, as the United States, are actually sharing classified information that jeopardizes Ukrainian national security interests, European national security interests, and Americans' lives It's being shared with our enemy, who is sharing it with the next biggest enemy of America. It is just something that never happened under Trump, and the fact that it's happening under Biden needs to be fully investigated.
Well, we saw a similar situation in Afghanistan. Remember, they left the lists of people who they wanted to get out with the Taliban. I mean, tell us how you prioritized intelligence in the Trump administration. You were in the seat.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so when I was Deputy Director of National Intelligence, we basically come up with a program for Tier 1 initiatives. And Tier 1 initiatives include protecting against terrorism, bringing home hostages, our southern border, stemming the flow of narcotics, taking on Russia, China, and Iran. Those were Tier 1 operations for intelligence collections. And that's what we focused on. The difference here is this Department of Defense has been ordered to focus on climate change and the weather.
Wow. Climate change and the weather. All right.
Why can't we impeach that son of a bitch?
Wow. What? I can't listen, man. There would have been impeachment papers in Congress as soon as somebody got one whiff, even with no evidence, one whiff of Donald Trump would have did some shit like that.
Oh, dude, he would have been impeached 6 years ago.
I'm talking about, brother, right in the frying pan, in the hot grease, immediately. I mean, boy, CNN would have been all over the place. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to hear nothing but, oh, Trump gave Xi Jinping. Trump's a traitor. He's committed treason. This brother shared intel. Why does he think, number one, that China is his friend? Maybe because he spent a lot of time over there, you know, him and old Hunter Biden. I know they had a crack fest of a damn time, all that crack Hunter Biden like to smoke. But, like, someone has told him that China is his buddy. And China.
Didn't Milley share information with China before we pulled out?
Say that again?
Yeah.
Didn't Milley share information with China before we pulled out?
Yes.
So, I mean, didn't we learn that lesson the first time?
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Obviously, this administration's pullout game is not on point.
Man, listen, man. I don't have any words. I'm gonna let y'all talk on this one because that right there, man, that just tells you everything you need to know about Joe Biden and his ability to lead this country. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. I swear to God, bro.
Let me ask you a question, Gator. Why haven't they started, or even Thomas? Why haven't they started the 25th Amendment on this son of a bitch? Or
what are our options?
Camel toe.
Put her on the damn firing line.
He's lost.
Actually, they could get rid of both of them for dereliction of duty. Neither one of them. Both of them show incompetence. They could take
but what's our option after that?
Nancy Pelosi running the country.
Here's the thing. We have to wait until the midterm when the Republicans get the majority. Then they can go after they can start impeaching that whole administration, get their sorry asses out, and let's make America great again like it used to be. Let's talk. I mean, I'm putting it out there. You know, like you said, Gator, it would be nice to engage Ivan because, you know,
You want it? Let's go. Let's just fucking do it. Keep your fingers off the buttons. Let's not fucking play with nuclear weapons. But if you want to go toe to toe, tank to tank, soldier to soldier, aircraft to aircraft, let's fucking do it. Let's go. Let's fucking do it.
Let's
meet right now on the fucking field and let's make this happen. And China, I'll tell you what, China, you fucking hang back over there for a minute. And when we're done with these bitch asses, we're gonna come fucking play with you. You want a piece of it? Either that or shut the fuck up and get with the world order. And I don't mean the new world order, but I mean, like, stop fucking with people. Do your thing. If you want to fuck with people in Russia, you want to fuck with people in China, that do your thing. Right? Go ahead.
Fuck
Leave the rest of the world alone.
Fuck tard alert.
I agree, man. I honestly, dude, we should just say fuck it. Let's end Russia right now. Let's just do it. Take care of the head. And then, like you said, dude, you want it, China? Okay, Xing, let's do this.
Look, if I get killed, the world's not missing anything. Nope. I mean, there's nobody more dangerous than somebody who doesn't have anything to lose, and I have nothing to lose.
I feel you there. Yeah, again, it's a disgrace to me to know that these kinds of activities are taking place in our White House.
Mm-hmm.
And can you imagine what Xi Jinping said or what he was thinking?
Decades, man, with the Democrats, man. Don't forget. I keep telling you, Clinton fucking sold them ICBM shit.
Yeah, I know, but I'm looking at it from Xi Jinping, right? He's getting intel from Joe Biden. He's like, this dumb.
China was a big donor to the Clinton administration.
Brother, they got all kind of money in the Clinton Foundation. All right, they got all kind of money going on. I mean, we talk about underhanded table deals and under the table deals. And I mean, it's just unbelievable that this fool Joe Biden actually thought he could confide in Xi Jinping.
Mm-hmm. And she said, give me all that intel, bitch.
Let me get that info that you got. Right. Thank you. Xi.
And wasn't Obama friendly to Russia? Like, I mean, all this shit happened with Ukraine last time Obama was in office and he didn't really do anything.
Crimea.
So I want you to understand, and Obama and the Clintons don't get along, right?
Supposedly.
Right? They're not keen on each other. Why is that? Because they're different types of socialists. Just like Russia and China are different types of socialists.
One's a Leninist and one's a Maoist.
And one is more beholden to the other in terms of how they feel sympathetically, if that makes sense.
Leninists are the purest form of communists. That's what you have in Russia and what you still have in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
What you have in China is more of a Maoist, which has some capitalistic tendencies, is what you see with China. They have some capitalist options, but yet they still fall under the communist, the Workers' Party.
See, that's what I was saying earlier. So they love the open market and the benefits of having open markets, but they want to rule the people. So even if you're a business owner and you own a business there, they're going to say, "Oh, you are a partnership," but they're going to take the majority of your revenue to funnel it back into the party. So you really don't own that business. So they actually, it's like they're authoritarian, but they will allow you to work for the state.
It's a Maoist.
Yeah, it's pretty twisted.
Actually, a great operation would be is to man the civilians in all these countries, give them weapons. Because their weapons have been taken away years ago, so they're beholden to what all these people. We should start arming. We should start arming the Russian citizens. We should start arming the Chinese citizens. We should start arming them, because what they'll do is shoot these bastards that have made their lives miserable for their entire life.
That and yeah, that's how we think, and that's training an indigenous force. That's what we would do. Technically. With a FID or something like that. But, we start doing shit like that with Russia and China. We can do those operations in the Philippines and shit like that. But we start fucking with shit like that with Russia, China, these big boys, man, that's an act of war, man. They'll that kind of opens the floodgates for them to do what they want without any world, with that, the world would look at us and be like, you guys are shitbags for that,
Well, you remember back in the day, special forces used to carry backpack nukes. What they need to do
tacticals,
they need what our
92 Foxtrot.
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to say. Instead of us doing this kind of stuff, we need to send these people in to target their nuclear facilities there, right? So if they start like they're going to be launching stuff off, then we can just knock one of them off right there, and they'll be having like 10 tornadoes they're cleaning up for the next 100 years.
I have a feeling, Russia and China, they have a shit ton of nukes, but I have a feeling, we have some surprises up our sleeves for that. Will there be a lot of fallout throughout the world? Hell yeah. But I have a feeling we have the ability to knock a lot of those down. All of them.
Why do you think Trump wasn't upset when Dingbat over there in North Korea was threatening nuclear attacks? Because we have a way to laze those things before they get too far off the ground.
Yeah, that's true. And we can also get them, we can just pick up the infrared signal, heat signatures from above.
And that's why they're trying to develop that hypersonic bullshit.
Yeah.
Because that's harder to hit, but we still fucking schwack that out of the air.
Yeah, I mean, those hypersonic missiles are traveling 5 times the speed of sound, which is about 2 miles a second.
Still ain't traveling the speed of light.
The American people in general need to quit going around like scared bitches. They need to understand America and the American will is strong. Regardless of that shit turd we have up in the White House, there's enough people, there's enough veterans, there's enough people that are weaponized and they're willing to fight. Don't give up on America.
I've been saying this. I never thought I'd ever have to say this to another American in my life, but a lot of Americans need to act more Ukrainian.
They need to get out the Zelensky in them.
Yeah,
get some of that Zelensky.
Yeah. When you hear people talk about heroic actions and true leadership, that shit's it. And you know what? Putin may have something. I don't know what fucking Zelensky's story is. We may all be in love with him, but it may come out that Putin, he may be into fucking drugs, or I don't think he's a Nazi and shit like that. I think that's just a fucking excuse because Putin sees that's what's going on in our media with those words. It's all the same leftist spin that we hear from Antifa and BLM and the left. Those are the same it's the same kind of language, just translated differently out of Russian. But
some of the best leadership that ever came out of the United States, if you remember on the day of 9/11, where was Rudy Giuliani? He was in the street with the people. Yeah. That's leadership.
Yeah.
Remember how they used to lead from the front? That's leadership. Is when you say say to our enemy, said, bring it, bring it, bring it.
Oh yeah. Now they got leadership hiding behind BLM and Antifa, Molotov cocktails, and a bunch of freaking morons running around saying we're trained Marxists.
Yeah.
And a bunch of men parading around in skirts with girls with dildos and shit. Okay, Lord, forgive me.
Brooke missed you too.
Yeah. I put that out there, Brooke. I appreciate the comment. Listen, we're going to go to a quick commercial. We'll come back with final thoughts. You're watching The Real Greg Kelly Show. We'll be right back in a few seconds, y'all. Oops, I hit the wrong button. I knew I couldn't make it through this whole show without freaking it up. God damn it.
As the 21st century began, human evolution was at a turning point. Natural selection, the process by which the strongest, the smartest, the fastest reproduced in greater numbers than the rest, a process which had once favored the noblest traits of man, now began to favor different traits. America! Most science fiction of the day predicted a future that was more civilized and more intelligent. But as time went on, things seemed to be heading in the opposite direction, coming down.
Every time a hurricane or storm's coming, the gas stations just fill up with women with plastic bags they get inside, and then they put the gas in and then wonder why the gas eats through it and spills, and they just don't know. Now look at this woman, spraying gasoline on top of the car. This is not a joke. She thinks that's how you clean your car, and she's got her mask on.
So let me get this straight. She's black. She's Indian. He's a reverend. He's a hero. And this guy is a woman?
I'm gonna grow a magnificent pair of breasts.
So that means that this is a peaceful protest, and this is a deadly insurrection. This guy's a white supremacist, and this guy won the election.
The economy was in a state of deep neglect. A great dust bowl had ravaged food supplies, and the #1 movie in the country was called Ass.
And that's the Secretary of Health.
It's kind of stupid.
Today could be your lucky day. California's first vaccine lottery drawing takes place tonight.
That's right. You can win $1 million and get vaccinated. Enjoy your
extra big-ass fries.
Get this. Some delicious fries. But there's also a burger element to this.
Joints for jabs. That's what they're calling it. Free joints today to those who could prove they got the COVID vaccine.
Do something smart.
The answer is mass formation psychosis.
Did you just make that up?
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
You're the smartest guy in the world. You're pretty dumb sometimes.
I'm kind of retarded.
And that video.
Hey, look, right off the bat, man, when that chick got hit in the back of the head with that shovel, man.
That was good shit, man. Well done, my friend. As soon as I heard the music, I was like, oh, shit.
Or the bitch fucking washing her car with the fucking gasoline. It's like, can you imagine if our great grandparents from like the 1950s and 40s that actually fought world wars?
It's the
would see this America now.
It's got to be in the water, y'all. It's got to be in the water. God dang it.
Water, you mean like in the toilet?
Yeah, man. God, this is so funny. All right, so listen, thank y'all for tuning in to the Real Greg Kelly Show tonight.
Drink Brondo. It's got electrolytes. It's what plants crave. Drink Brondo. I get paid to say that every time I say that.
Oh
I get
my God, man, this stuff is out of control. But anyway, closing remarks, man. We're gonna start with you, Thomas.
Well, all I've got to say is I feel a little bit better being surrounded by y'all. It helps. God, I hope that America can wake up and understand, you know, I mean, it's just sad what I've seen happen over my life. Us go from the greatest country and going from when Trump was in office and America was on top to like, what, 13 months later and like we're in the shitter.
Yeah. All right. TCB. Closing remarks, brother.
Ban that video. That is all.
That's all you got? All right, Gator. Closing remarks, man.
Kill Russians, loose lips sink ships. At the rate we're fucking going, rehashing my childhood and events from the past, I think we better start watching out for the fucking Japanese and the Thessalonians now. I don't know what this shit's going on. The Greeks might invade. Who the fuck, man? I don't know. You know, it's getting crazy. So, you know, just keep your, you know, look, I'll be honest. I'm kind of glad to see the Russians getting their ass kicked. They're always going to be Reds to me. It's funny. You know me, guys. I sat here and watched Antifa through 47 live feeds. I'm doing the same thing in Ukraine. So, it is hilarious to me. Shout out to the Angel of Ukraine or the Angel of Kiev, whoever that is. Shout out to the go fuck yourself guys on the island. Shout out to President Zelensky for dropping his giant sack on the battlefield and you know, begging them to come. But I will say Facebook was acting funky earlier. Other things are acting a little wonky. So just be prepared. Expect, you know, some disruptions. They're going to, you know, you've got a lot of hackers out there. Anonymous is going after them. So they're going to come after us now. So expect outages, power outages, food disruptions, water disruptions. You know, don't panic. Don't freak out. Just be calm about it. Shit's going to come back on. Chill the fuck out. Just, you know, be prepared. That's all you got to do. If you're prepared, you don't have to panic, right? You're not a prepper. You're just prepared.
Be prepared. I know Thomas.
Anything. Could be a tornado, hurricane, food shortage, zombies, fucking crickets. Who knows?
Rapture.
I will say that the guy in Idiocracy, I forget what he is, like the Secretary of Education or something. It looks a lot like Bear.
Oh,
I forget what he does.
I knew, man. It did.
You like the comedy, man?
Resemblance there. All right. So listen, guys, we're going to get out of here. Y'all know how I like to try to do it anyway. You guys can stay backstage for a second. I just want to tell you something. I'm going to hold you long. Thanks for watching the Real Greg Kelly Show. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Hey, thank you guys for stopping by. Nick, we got Brooke, we got Joker, AC showed up. You know, as always, if you want to donate to the show, that's how you do it. I do it at the end because I'm not, you know, I mean, I do this for the reasons that I do it. But all of your support is a blessing. I love you guys. Stay American, stay in the fight, stay prepared. Love you guys. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's time to ride out to the music. I bet you I get this one wrong too. But I'm gonna work up. Here we go. Let me see. Can I pull it off? Here we go.
Thomas, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too, man. Let's keep in touch.
All right. We're gonna do it again. I mean, we're gonna make sure we keep this going. Real Greg Kelly Show, man. Love y'all. Ride to the music.